have for a thrill. We have stories of the dead coming back
to life to tales of the
not evil.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
The All-American Spookshow.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the All-American Spookshow podcast. As always, I am joined by Will.
Yes, sir.
And the Professor Smoke.
Hey.
And you are listening to episode 13, where we will be reviewing / discussing the 1983 cult classic Sleepaway Camp. Will, I know this is the first time you've watched this one. I think we discussed that on the last show. Tell me your initial thoughts of this after watching it.
Pretty campy. Get it? Campy. It was interesting. How about that?
Did you already have an inkling of the ending of it before, or did you go into that fresh? Oh, you did? Okay, so you already knew about.
No, I didn't. It was just about halfway through the movie. I was like, all right, I see where this is going. I don't know how they're going to do it. I didn't expect it that way, but
yeah.
But yeah, I'd figured out the ending before we got there.
Well, we had told you that there was a twist ending to this, so at least you know you're looking for something, I guess.
I can't remember if y'all said a twist ending, just a crazy ending.
Yeah, well, either way, it's both. Twist, crazy, screw, however you want to put it. It's a weird. It's an ending.
I guess the only phrase you can really put out there is. I guess we'll dig into that a little bit farther.
Yeah.
Once we start doing the movie, but why?
Before I go a step further, I just in case this is the first time you decided to jump in and listen to the podcast, we are a spoiler-filled podcast, so we will go in and out of this thing and spoil the shit out of it. So if you haven't watched Sleepaway Camp and you want to be surprised, then you should probably pause now and then come back later and hear the shenanigans from us.
Or you can listen to the podcast and then watch the movie.
Yeah, then there's that. Because we can't, honestly, we will not do it justice even when we're spoiling it. You have to see it for yourself. I'm assuming this is like the 14th time you've watched it, Smoke. So go back to when you were.
I don't remember how many times exactly. Oh, back to the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time would have been on VHS at some point. Back in the, I guess, mid-'80s, late '80s, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
87, 88, maybe. And it was definitely an eye opener then, as far as you get a lot of twist endings, and even in slash movies, it's kind of their thing is to come up with different kind of little crazy twists, but never had seen one that way.
Yeah. No.
That was a jaw-dropping ending.
Did you have any, back then when you first saw it, did you have any idea that there was like this big twist at the end, or had you heard anything?
When I first saw that, I went in fresh. I can't remember if I watched that with a friend or my cousin or somebody or what, but whoever it was, they had never seen it either.
Yeah.
And so it was totally unexpected. At that time when I saw it too, I hadn't started. I loved horror movies, but I hadn't started the obsession where I was buying Fangoria and all that stuff, so I didn't have any outlet for it, I guess, to get spoiled.
Yeah.
So, I went into that completely fresh and not expecting that at all.
Yeah, I
definitely thought it had an original ending to original twist.
I think the first time I watched this was probably about 15 years or so ago, and yeah, I did not see that coming at all. I think, once again, we spoil stuff, so I'll jump ahead. I think the idea that it was her doing it, that was pretty easy to figure out,
Oh, yeah.
from the get-go, pretty much,
Yeah. And I guess they were probably thinking that, too, that, okay, everybody's going to guess who the killer is, so what other kind of, reveal can we have?
We need a good, hard reveal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and almost werewolfy looking.
It won't hang around too long, it'll just be really quick.
So I guess before we start diving into it, I'll do a couple of our normal plugs. You can contact us through email on allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter. Our handle is @AASpookshow. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on any of those by searching for All American Spook Show. You should be able to find it. And we have a TeePublic shop, where we sell logoed T-shirts and other random things. You can search for All American Spook Show on TeePublic, and you should be able to find us. And a lot of these links, a lot of these other ones link from from whichever account you find us. You should find links to the other things on there. So I guess with the initial thoughts out of the way, I guess we'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Sleepaway Camp, 1983.
Dear Mom and Dad, I've been at a sleepaway camp for almost 3 weeks, and I'm getting very scared.
Welcome to Sleepaway Camp. Someone is watching you.
Hey, Baba, Reba!
Someone is waiting for you. Someone wants to scare you to death.
Turn the wheel! Oh my God!
Sleepaway Camp. You won't be coming home.
And there you go. That was the trailer for Sleepaway Camp. I guess we can go ahead and dive into some of the background information. Did you guys find anything interesting before I dive into anything?
Well, I know Felissa. Well, it wasn't necessarily the research for this movie, but Felissa Rose, who plays Angela, of course,
The main character.
This isn't necessarily background information on her, I guess, but my fiance have met her a few times at various horror conventions and things. And she does quite a few of them, I guess.
Uh-huh.
A few of them that we've been to, we've met her, and she's a sweetheart to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Always open about anything you want to talk to as far as movies she's been in and everything. And she actually knows my fiance's youngest daughter by sight now, so she'll run up to her and give her a hug, give her autograph, whatever picture she wants.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah.
I actually saw her and a couple other people just recently started a podcast themselves, through Fangoria. I can't remember what the name of it is, but yeah, they just started one with her in it every week. So I'm sure you can dig around and find that if that has any interest for you.
And I know she's been on Joe Bob Briggs's Last Drive-In a few times.
Yeah.
In person on the show, and then call in. He'll call her and ask her questions about whatever his show is that he's review or watching. Whatever.
Best I can tell, though, this is pretty much about the only thing she's ever really done there. I mean, she's done some other stuff, but it almost seemed like she kind of stepped away for a while and didn't really do anything. At least not horror related or really any movies or anything.
Yeah. In fact, there's I guess quite a few people in this movie that was pretty much their only thing.
Yeah. Most of the main cast.
Yeah. The other interesting thing was too when I was looking up Judy, the actress that played Judy. She hadn't been in anything else, but she did recently do, and I say recently, but it might have been a few years back now, a short film continuation or sequel, I guess you'd call it, to Sleepaway Camp with her character, which is on YouTube, called just Judy. Yeah,
I saw that was a thing. I didn't go any further to look it up and see if I could actually watch it anywhere, but yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, it's on. It is on YouTube.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, I gave it a watch. It was, I don't know who made. I don't know the credits behind that short film, who made it and whatnot. But she was the only recurring character that came back for that short film, and it's very, very much just super low budget.
Somebody's student film, maybe, or something.
Yeah, somebody. I don't know if somebody's a big fan or somebody's a friend of hers, or maybe she was behind just putting the short film together just because. But I mean, it was okay. It was to watch. I mean, it didn't have, it has even lower of a budget than Sleepaway Camp, of course. But it's out there if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, the one weird thing that I kind of thought, and I emphasize weird, is apparently this movie was inspired by Weird Al. in the song "Nature Trail to Hell."
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah. This movie and Friday the 13th Part 3 were inspired by a Weird Al Yankovic song, "Nature Trail to Hell," where both films feature a cutting up of campers and an ending that you'll have to see to believe.
Now, I did see something where like a lot of people accuse this movie of just straight up ripping Friday the 13th, but that's basically just because, you know, of the similar
film in a campground, I guess.
Yeah. That's a pretty easy accusation to make, though. I mean, because it's, you know.
Well, I know there's one scene in particular that I remember that, in my mind, does kind of link it to that, was the bow and arrow scene.
Yeah.
A very obvious one of those in Friday the 13th as well, and then, you know, with the bow playing there.
Except a little different.
Yeah, a little different.
As in a lot worse.
Yeah.
At least as far as the way it looked.
True.
So yeah, I guess with that, we'll, you know, start going into the little bit of background that I found. Sleepaway Camp, 1983. It was released November 18th, 1983, by American Eagle Films and United Film Distribution Company. Best I could tell, and I could be wrong, but best I could tell, this might be the only thing American Eagle Films ever put out. Maybe there was more, but I just couldn't find anything.
It's before they went on to the American Eagle Outfitters chain.
That's what I was about to say, before they started making apparel.
Yeah.
This is how they got the original funding to start the clothing shop.
That's right.
The startup, yeah.
That's what we're about here, misinformation.
That $250 they made off this movie started an empire. So it actually has another title. Now, you know, like a lot of these movies will have other titles because, you know, say it gets interpreted a different way in another country or whatever. This one actually is known as another title called Nightmare Vacation for whatever reason. And it's called that in some other countries, but, you know, this was one of the first ones where I saw where it looks like it actually has two names in America. Yeah. You know, depending on, I guess, which version you see or where you saw it or wherever the hell, you know. But
it almost sounds like a Ramones song.
Nightmare Vacation.
It could be Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp. No.
Yeah, that would work, actually. This movie has a total run time of 1 hour and 24 minutes, so it's pretty quick and to the point. It's rated R, of course. From what I could tell, the budget for this movie was $350,000, and it grossed $11 million. Now, another thing that I saw was that this movie was released November 18th, 1983, but it had a limited release. It only played like in a handful of theaters, and then it actually got like I guess a bigger release, or maybe an LA release or something. It was sometime well into the next year, like April or May of 1984. So I don't think that, my point is, I don't think this movie got like a big wide release anywhere. I think it just kind of played in the bigger cities, and I don't think it, you know, even when it did, it wasn't out for very long. But with a budget of $350,000, it still managed to gross $11 million, so that's pretty good considering it was a limited release in the middle of the '80s. And I'm sure it's probably made tons more in, you know, DVD and Blu-ray sales in the years since. That date, November 18th, 1983, is actually the same release date as Amityville 3D, and that was number one at the box office, and this barely made a blip on the screen. So, it was filmed in Argyle, New York. At a camp, at like a summer camp. It used to be called Camp Algonquin. It was filmed for about 5 weeks from September to October of 1982. And also I saw something to that, and I noticed this when I was watching the movie, that it didn't really necessarily look like it was full-on summer. Some of the trees and stuff, the colors of the trees, you know, looked almost like it was in fall, and that would explain that. But one thing that I saw that actually took it a step further was that some of the crew actually had to go and paint the grass and some of the trees and stuff to make it look like it was summer.
I'll say that's absolutely hilarious because on the when the name of the movie pops up, yeah, it's clearly fall.
Yeah. But see, in that context, though, it kind of makes sense because, you know, and I'm sure we'll get into that once we start talking about the movie more. That beginning credit scene, what you're talking about, it's almost like this is well after the events of this movie.
Season,
yeah, because, you know, there's the sign that says Camp Arawak closed or for sale or whatever. So I think you assume that like that opening part is like after
the events.
And now it's just boarded up and deserted. So that makes a little bit more sense. But still, yeah, I mean, either way, you can clearly tell it's fall there for sure. And you can see it throughout the movie in some shots and stuff in the trees and stuff.
Which is the opposite of Halloween, the original Halloween, which they shot out of season. They wanted it to be fall, and they had to bring in leads. and throw them around the set.
Yeah. It's, of course, spawned 3 sequels. There's Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers in 1988. And then the next year, in 1989, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. And then nothing new until 2008, Return to Sleepaway Camp, which was actually, I think, made by the original director, of the first movie, the one that we're talking about here today, which was directed, written, and produced by Robert Hiltzik. I think that's how you pronounce it, Hiltzik. Basically, this is all the dude's just about ever done, from what I could tell. They're just these Sleepaway Camp movies. And he didn't even do 2 or 3. He just did this one and the Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Those two were like unauthorized.
That's what I was going to say, is that Return to Sleepaway Camp, apparently it pretends that 2 and 3 never happened. I guess at some point of time later, and it picks up from the original. But it does say that Sleepaway Camp 4, I found this out, and I'll read this that I copied from an article. Sleepaway Camp 4 began filming in 1992. This isn't Return to Sleepaway Camp. This is a separate one called Sleepaway Camp 4. It began filming in 1992, but was not completed. Some footage that was shot on the first day, just over half an hour long, was released as an exclusive 4th disc, included with some editions of the Region 1 Sleepaway Camp box set, DVD box set. It was announced in late 2010 that the footage was compiled and improved by the makers and official Sleepaway Camp sequels website creator John Kliza, and made into a 70-minute film, which was released on March 24th, 2012 with online distribution. So there is another one out there that I guess is kind of like a completed, incomplete. Yeah, that actually connects to Sleepaway Camp 2, Sleepaway Camp 3. I guess
while we're on the topic of that, I'm not sure if it was that box set, but talking about DVD edition, the box sets I think it was maybe the first box set they put out of Sleepaway Camp. They included all those movies. Had the Red Cross symbol on it, and it got recalled
because of the Red Cross. Yeah,
because it was too close to their symbol and everything, their logo. So they ended up having to recall that one. I don't know if that's what. One night I'd look it up to see if that's going for some crazy amount on eBay or anything.
I'm sure it is if it's recalled.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it was out there before they did recall on it. But
I
remember seeing. I never had that edition, but I do remember seeing it in stores when it came out.
It seems like anything that gets recalled instantly doubles or triples in price on eBay as soon as it's recalled.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of a little bit of the background on the sequels there, which I'm sure we'll get to one of these days. We should just skip to the partially incompleted Sleepaway Camp 4 and see how it all turns out.
Yeah, that'll be about a 10-minute podcast.
Yeah. That'll be for a mini-sode. Yeah, we watched it. What of it? Leave us alone. Goodbye. So, yeah, that's that. All right, so this one, 1983 Sleepaway Camp. It stars Felissa Rose as Angela. Like we said, she's kind of become a horror icon because of this. She hasn't done a whole bunch else. I mean, she's done some other things, but not a lot of things. This is what she's known for. It's this right here. Also stars Jonathan Tiersten as Ricky. That's her cousin in the movie. Karen Fields as Judy, who we were just talking about a little while ago. She's kind of the camp bitch who I guess is just coming into puberty and wants to act like a dickhead to everybody. Christopher Collette as Paul. He is the guy that is kind of Angela's. He's Ricky's friend, but he's kind of Angela's boyfriend, kind of throughout the movie. Little camp crush, whatever it is. And he actually was in the Manhattan Project, the Langoliers, and a ton of TV shows and stuff. So he's actually had somewhat of a career after this. And it also stars Mike Kellen as Mel. He's the old guy. Now, it's kind of unclear, does this dude own the camp, or he just, I'm assuming he owns it, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, the way his dialogue is through the whole movie, he's worried about, his camp getting closed down, and this happening, there's events happening in his camp. So, I don't know, I assume he's like the owner, I guess.
Yeah, but the reason I ask is because anytime one of the kids are doing something, he always refers to that other guy, Ronnie. It's like, wait till Ronnie hears about this, like, seems like if he's the dude running the camp, he should be the one you're afraid of.
True, yeah.
I guess he's the dude that runs the camp. Like you said, he's worried the whole movie that he's going to get shut down, and then he starts accusing people of murders. But he's pretty good. But apparently he was a veteran stage actor. And he did that for years. He was also in Midnight Express, The Jazz Singer, tons of TV shows in the 50s, 60s, 70s. He actually died of cancer August 26, 1983, so it was right before this movie came out, and this was his last role. So that's arguably one of the things he'll be remembered for is the very last thing that he ever did. Yeah. And like I mentioned before, this was also directed, written, and produced by Robert Hiltzik, who this is just about the only thing he's ever done is these sleepaway camps. So on IMDb, it gets 6.3 out of 10 stars. On Rotten Tomatoes, on the tomato meter, it gets 82%. Out of 22, it's only 22 reviews, but still, 82%. The audience score is 60%, so it actually scores way higher with the critics, believe it or not. So the IMDb synopsis: Angela Baker, a traumatized and very shy young girl, is sent to summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister or less than honorable intentions gets their comeuppance. I also did see something, maybe it was in the Wikipedia article about Sleepaway Camp, or maybe I read it somewhere else in my research. It did say that, like, the reviews for this movie, obviously back in 1983, 84, people shit on it. Horrible. This is a piece of shit. And apparently a lot of those reviews have actually gotten better, like, say, in the last 5 or 10 years. Like, people look back on this now far more fondly than they did back when it came out. So this is like the Benjamin Button of horror movies, I guess.
Yeah, it had its second or third life, I guess you'd say, on the newer generation of horror, I guess.
Yeah.
How long, picked it back up. Because it was almost, not considered lost, but it was one of those things where a lot of people didn't really talk about it too much until a certain point when it came, I guess, back. Probably when it got its first DVD distribution.
Yeah, and probably because it just wasn't put out by some company that, to me, doesn't even look like it existed outside of this movie. Yeah. So it just kind of just went away, I guess. Probably just another, summer camp slasher type movie that just got lost in the middle of a bunch of those kind of movies back then,
Yeah.
Except this one sticks out for another reason, get it?
No, go. Do tell.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so we'll just go ahead and jump right into the movie. So it starts with a screen that says, "In fond memory of Mom, a doer." And then you have the Sleepaway Camp titles screen, or, the titles coming up over the empty camp. And in the background, you can hear, like, the sounds of kids laughing and joking around and playing sports and stuff like that. But you're just seeing the camp as it's empty and out of use and closed down. Then the last thing you see is the Camp Airwax sign that's got "for sale" written across it. So then it fades to black, and it comes up in the next scene, and you see these kids and a dad out on, like, a little sailboat out in the middle of the lake. And they're playing around, and like, the kids sneak up behind the dad and push him in the water, and the boat flips, and they're kind of swimming around. And then this ski boat, like a speedboat, comes across with a skier on the back of it, and the girl inside of it wants to drive the boat, and the guy's like, "All right, fine, here, you can take the wheel." And of course she doesn't know how to slow down when they see these kids and this dad in the lake, and they just
and they didn't even see the kids at first, right? They're too busy about looking at the person skiing behind them.
She's just looking and then she's just screaming, like, "Oh my God, you're gonna hit them!" And then eventually they do, and the boat, like, launches off the top of the sailboat, and it kills the dad, and it looks like it kills one of the children. The boy is what it looks like. That it kills both of them. This is such a weirdly edited scene too, because of the reactions of everybody. I can't think of the dad's name, but let's just say it's Paul. I can't remember. But the other guy that's on the shore, when the boat hits him, he just whispers the guy's name, like, "Paul," and then just stands there and doesn't do anything. And it's not like it's in the middle of the lake. It's like 10 foot off the shore, like. If a boat flies over and hits somebody, like in my family or my friends or something, I'm probably going to run out there, "Oh my God," and try to help. He's just, "Paul," and then just stands there and stares at it.
Well, that just kind of reminds you of later on in the movie when there's the whole sleeping bag scene. It's just like, "Oh God, help.
Yeah.
Help, somebody. Help."
I don't want to wake up too many people, but somebody is awake and maybe help.
Yeah. Paul. John. Whatever the hell his name was. So they're dead. And so then it goes to 8 years later. And then you're introduced to this weird-ass Aunt Martha, who apparently has taken in, or, has her own son, Ricky, and has taken in Angela, the girl from the lake accident. She's taken her in as her own, and I guess raised her, so this is 8 years later. And she's packing them off to go to Camp Arawak. She walks up to him and she says, "Look, I packed you and your cousin some goodies for the ride up to camp. Wasn't that nice of me?" This lady is weird as shit. I mean, that's the only way you can say it. Like, she's one quart shy, to put it mildly.
Josh, this explanation of her just won't do. No, it won't do.
I think it will. And then she can't remember something, and she's got a little string tied around her finger to remember it, and she eventually remembers, and then Ricky's like, "That's just mom being old mom." No, like, you need to put this woman in the psychiatric ward. She's nuts.
I don't know if y'all have ever seen any Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, but seen her she walked off the set of 2000 Maniacs or something, or Blood Feast into this movie.
I was thinking something from a John Waters movie, but basically about the same.
Both, they're kind of interchangeable with their actors.
Yeah. So then she comes back and she gives them like these little these physical forms that she has filled out. And she says, not to tell anybody how they got them, but, they're filled out and there you go. So they arrive.
God forbid everybody find out that your mom fills out your paperwork.
Yeah, heaven forbid. Foreshadowing, my friend. Foreshadowing. So they arrive at the camp, and so all these kids are getting off the bus and stuff, and everybody's running around and screaming as you would expect. And then you're introduced to the camp cook, the head cook, Artie, who's he's a very savory man.
Because he's the cook, right?
Yes. But, he's supplying food and nourishment for all the kids, and he also really loves fresh young chickens. And where he's from, he calls them baldies.
Yeah, makes your mouth water, he says, don't it?
Yeah. And then the guy makes some kind of comment, like the guy next to him makes some kind of comment, and he's like, "Oh, these are too young to know what you're thinking about." Yuck, yuck, yuck. And he's like, "No, there's no such thing as too young." And then the other guy just laughs at him. Now, this is fucking disturbing, right? Good Lord. What's more disturbing is the dude saying these things, or is it the dude's reaction, like just laughing them off? Like, ha.
Oh, yeah. Like, this guy's the most out front and open, like, child molester there's ever been.
Yeah. I mean, he's not hiding it.
No. Meanwhile, this guy's sitting there like, "Oh, this is refreshing."
Yeah. Good God.
Like, oh, Artie. That's just Artie being Artie.
Intermission. Ice cream, candy, lemonade too, and there's a hot dog waiting for you.
The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. You know all the great food is stealing the show.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
So then, like, they're going around, and then you're introduced to Judy, who was Ricky's like summer camp steady the previous year before, but now she's got boobs and she's full into puberty, I guess. So now she's got no time for him. She wants the older boys now. So she blows them off, and then Angela. This is the first time you see the creepy stare from Angela when they're in the cabin. I guess like later on they're all getting acclimated to the cabin, and she's just sitting there on the bed staring at her. And Judy's like, "What the fuck are you staring at?" Did you notice too? Every time they did the old like Angela staring at him bit, like it was this weird camera angle where they're kind of looking down at her, and there's like a massive amount of headroom. Every time, like it's a weird shot. So then, like later on, they're eating, and then Ronnie, he's like the head counselor. He takes her into the kitchen to go, like she's not eating, so he takes her in there so she can find her something to eat. And then Artie's like, "Yeah, I'll take care of her." And then he takes her into the back room. And he's basically full on about to rape this girl until like he's unbuckling his pants and everything. "I got something I know you'll enjoy." And then Ricky busts in, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And then runs out with her, And still no one suspects that this dude's a major over the top grab ass.
So he's like so angry he punches the shit out of a box.
I didn't get to rape a girl today. Ha! Monday's ruined. So you cut to a little bit later on. He's in the kitchen making some food, and there's an enormous pot, like one of the biggest pots I've ever seen in my life. This thing is like a 6-foot tall pot. So he's on a chair, and he's like sprinkling some salt in there, or whatever the hell. And then you don't see who, but somebody grabs a hold of the chair and kind of shakes it, and he's like, "Hey, hey, don't mess with that. You know, if you let me go, I'll make you an ice cream sundae. And then the person pulls the chair out, and then like he grabs a hold of the pot and then falls to the ground, and the pot falls on him, and it just burns the shit out of him. I hear he might be in the most agony that anyone has ever been in.
And get away.
Yeah. Or he could have.
The person that you would think would most deserves to die in the movie doesn't die.
Yeah, he's just maimed.
Yeah.
But like I said, I believe he's also in the most pain and agony that anyone has ever experienced.
Yeah.
Which that doctor that comes in and is like over the top explaining the situation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the pure goddamned agony this man is in on that bed right now. I'm surprised you didn't hear him screaming even outside as they're just standing there talking about it and shaking their head. Like, they should be getting in the ambulance and getting this dude to the hospital, but they're just like, no, this was terrible what happened to this man, and he is surely in the worst agony you could possibly imagine.
Can we get him some morphine? Shut your damn mouth.
No, I have to explain further before we take any actions. Yes, he is in pain.
By the way, that doctor, his son was Seth MacFarlane.
He stubbed his knee. That's all it was.
So then Mel comes along, and like, you know, he didn't want any of this to get out for whatever reason. So like he promotes the one guy to head cook, and then gives everybody a little bump. You know, just kind of tell them to shut up. Then it cuts to a baseball game that takes like 15 minutes for no reason and has no bearing on this point or the rest of the movie. Other than to serve that, like, there's this one group of guys that are kind of enemies with another group of guys. That's about it. That's all you get out of it.
Yeah, and their little dialogue back and forth. Right? It said, eat shit and die, Ricky.
Yeah.
Eat shit and live, Bill.
Yeah, he shouldn't live. That's about all you get out of that. So then, like, later on that night, they're at the canteen, you know, I guess where you can go and buy snacks and hang out or whatever. And a guy asks Angela to go swimming, and then once again you get the weird headroom look up at the guy. She's not saying anything. Eventually they start making fun of her, and then Ricky jumps in and starts fighting the guy, and they get broke up. Paul, which is Ricky's friend, he comes and finally introduces himself, and they're sitting there talking. Then Judy comes over and starts cock blocking. Then a bunch.
That's an interesting phrase you threw out there.
I'm just saying, for Paul. And then there's this scene of these dudes stripping down and going skinny dipping. I mean, there's a lot of throwaway stuff in this, honestly, that has really no bearing. I guess it's just the 80s and it's a summer camp movie, so they got to throw some of this kind of shit in. But then eventually, like, one of the guys, his name's Kenny, he takes a girl out on the canoe, and he's kind of swinging it or whatever, and he flips the canoe over, and she's like, fuck off, and, you know, she swims away, and for whatever reason, he dips down underneath the boat, and he's just kind of hanging out under there. And then
he's talking to her like she's still around, and she's like on the.
Oh yeah, she's already swam up the shore, and she's back in the cabin, like taking a shower at this point. And he thinks she's just hanging right nearby, but then all of a sudden somebody else pops up inside, you know, like the flipped over canoes. Hey, what are you doing in here? And then grabs a hold of him and just easily drowns him. I mean, just really gently, just pushes his head under the water to the end.
Meanwhile, in the next scene, you find out that he's a very good swimmer.
It's all weird because he was a damn good swimmer. Yeah, so like the dude comes out to like
point is the very top of his head.
The dude comes out to like clean the beach up the next morning, and then tips the canoe over and finds his corpse. And then there's a snake, like a little baby snake or some shit, like crawling out of his mouth. So it's clearly just for gross out effect. Once again,
maybe the fact that he had mentioned. Remember, he mentioned something when they were in the canoe when he was joking around about tipping it over about watch out for the water snake.
Yeah, about snakes and snapping turtles or something. So yeah, they got him. So then once again, Mel insists that it was an accident or whatever, and he's still telling everybody to shut the fuck up. You know, Paul asks. Later on, Paul asks Angela to a movie, and then Judy once again shows up. She's blocking again. She's interfering in this budding relationship. So they go and watch the movie that night, and later on Paul reaches over and kisses her a couple of times, and she acts weird and runs away. Then the next day they're supposed to be swimming, and then Meg, the counselor, just starts berating Angela for not swimming. Like, you stuck up, bitch. Everybody else has to swim. You're gonna swim.
Ball buster.
Yeah. So then Ronnie, the head counselor, shows up and, you know, saves the day. You know, just tells her to go fuck herself. You know, she's all right. Then later on, Judy in the cabin like starts berating Angela for not showering with the rest of the girls. And then the other counselor in there, Susie, she comes up and just slaps the shit out of Judy. And she's standing like, oh, I can't believe I did that, you know. But everything's okay. We're just moving along. Then, for some reason, there's a water balloon fight on top of a roof. I don't.
Because that's the safest place to do that.
It's this same group of dorks that were like skinny dipping together with no chicks. They're up there having a water balloon fight on the roof.
I mean, I've never been to camp, but is that a normal thing?
Apparently. According to 1982-83 Camp Filming, it is. Which that was a magazine back then, 1982 to 83 Camp Filming Life.
Okay.
You had to be on the inside track to know.
Subscription only.
Yeah. Very limited run. So yeah, there's a water balloon fight on the roof, and then one of them takes a water balloon, hits Angela. Ricky runs up, and he's like, come on down here and fight me. You know, they all come down and start pushing each other and shit and yelling. And then
at this point, too, is Ricky. I love Ricky's dialogue and all. He's like overly like angry about everything. Like, you fucking fucks. I mean, that's not his exact.
I'm going to kill you.
Like everything.
I'm going to take a knife and eviscerate you. Look, it's just a water balloon. Take it easy, brother. So Mel jumps in, like he sees this go down, and he saw it all happen. So they pretty much all get in trouble, and they're banned from the canteen or whatever. So then you cut to a little bit later on, the leader of this squad of goons, he goes in to take a shit, and then somebody, I thought this was the way they shot this was weird. Somebody slides a broom handle through the door, like the stall door handles, right? And then it shows somebody taking a knife and like stabbing through the screen on the window, so they could they had a stick with a beehive on the end of it, and then he just kind of shake it up and drop it on him as he's locked in the stall, and then these bees just eat him alive. I mean, they just fuck his world up. Worse than those ants in the Green Inferno.
Yes.
This is way worse.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like they blew their budget on
the bees.
On the bees.
Yeah, and the bees are like crawling in and out of them and shit. Like, what kind of bees are these?
And they operated pretty damn fast too.
Yeah, very quickly.
They tore his body up pretty fast.
But
meanwhile,
I guess
this is supposed to be like an athletic-looking guy, and he can't break through like the smallest broom handle ever.
Even when the broom handle clearly cracks because he's pushing on it, he still can't get through this.
Yeah, I still can't get out. Yeah.
But I just thought it was shot weird in that, like,
gone in there to take that wicked dump.
Gotta take a wicked dump. And he's reading like an old adventure comics or something, you know. But I just thought it was weird the way they shot it in that, like, somebody is clearly in that bathroom, sticks a broom handle through, but then they have to cut through the screen window to get the beehive in there. Like, isn't that weird? Like, the connection, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, sometimes you got to take long wicked dumps.
I guess you got to go in there and put the broom handle, then run outside, go get the beehive, and then maybe that's what they did. I don't know. But this all happened pretty quickly. We're giving it way too much thought. Yeah. So then, once again, it shows Mel. He's acting all...
Is that what the coroner report had?
Yeah, dead by bees. But he's not nearly in as much agony as the dude that got burned with the boiling water. So then, once again, it shows Mel. Now he's starting to act all crazy. Like, he's thinking, like, somebody's doing this to get at him.
Yeah, he takes it personally. Like,
yeah, now he's taking it personally.
They want it's against him, you know, not just the camp closing. It's like personal vendetta.
Yeah, it's against Mel. So then it shows Angela and Paul. They're making out on the beach, and then this is one of the more odd scenes of the movie. Angela is making out with Paul, and then they have a flashback scene to her dad and that guy on the beach. I guess they're having sex in a bed, and it's this weird atmosphere, like it's a bed floating in blackness. Mm-hmm. And her and her brother like walk in, and they're and they're pointing and stuff as these two dudes are making out, having sex, whatever the hell they're doing in this bed. And then she screams, and then screams no to Paul, and then runs off. Next day they're playing capture the flag, and Paul has blue balls, so he starts making out with Judy in the woods, you know, because he couldn't get any from Angela the night before. Angela walks up and sees this, and you know, she's upset and runs away. Then later on, Meg and Judy just decide to throw Angela in the water, and this is where Mel accuses Ricky of doing all these murders. Like, it all kind of breaks down right here. Like, they grab a hold of her, throw her in the water, and as this is going on, Mel's on the shore over there grabbing a hold of Ricky, accusing him of murdering people. He's like, what the fuck? You know, he breaks loose and goes and helps. Angela. So then a little bit later on, like a couple of the counselors have the night off, and Meg is one of them, and she decides she's going to go have dinner with Mel. So I guess for whatever reason now, the camp bitch counselor has decided she's going to go sleep with Mel, I guess.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, this just completely comes out of nowhere.
That's like, oh, okay.
So she goes to the cabin next door because the shower in that cabin is all full. There's girls waiting. So she goes to the shower next door. There's like this empty cabin next door that has nothing in it but some empty beds and a Loverboy poster. She goes in there to take the shower, and then somebody stabs her through the wall. Not through the curtain, but they just shoved the knife through the wall and like run her all the way down her back. Like, I guess starting at the top and running it all the way down. So she's dead.
And forget that. Like who is strong enough? Clearly, this little girl is strong enough to take a knife down a piece of wood.
Yeah. Or through pure sheetrock in a shower, whatever it is. I mean, like, it takes some strength.
Even the reveal that comes later, you know, if that's the reasoning, is because of the reveal that comes later is why she has certain, you know, strength or whatever. That's still not going to happen. Like, even, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be pretty tough to stab through that and then just rip down through it.
Yeah.
And also for the person still to be there.
Then eventually Paul apologizes to Angela, you know, and she says, okay, it's fine. Meet me at the waterfront tonight after the social. And she's still kind of acting weird, but he's like, all right, yeah, I'm in now. So now there's some campers out in the woods, and a couple of them want to go back because they're too cold. So then, like, the counselor that's with them said, all right, I'll take you back. So he takes them off, and so there's like three or four of them that are still just asleep laying on the ground there. He leaves them by themselves.
Like any good camp counselor would.
Yeah. It seems to me in this situation, be like, all right, well, a couple of them want to go back. How about this? Let's all wake up and go back. I'm not just going to leave 4 kids laying out in the woods in the middle of the night by themselves, but whatever.
And they'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll all work out. This
version of them.
This ain't a horror movie, is it? So he
like, oh, help. Oh, God, somebody help.
Help me. Please, for the love of all that is holy. So, yeah, he walks away to take those kids, and then the kids are still asleep, and then you see somebody walk up and look at the axe. So then it cuts to Mel. He's looking around for Meg, and then he eventually goes into that cabin, and then her corpse is right on cue, falls out of the shower, and then Mel's just standing there looking at her, and now he's just convinced that it's Ricky doing this. He's finally got me.
How's that corpse still standing, by the way?
Yeah. And then it just happens to fall right at that moment.
Yeah.
That he walks up. But you're right. She wouldn't be standing there. She'd be like crumpled in the shower, you know, at best. So then he's standing like, that son of a bitch, Ricky. I know he's done this to me. You go back to the cabin and Judy is in there, like making out with some dude. And then the dude's like, no, we're going to get busted. I'm out. So he leaves. And then as she's sitting there, like, you know, stewing on this, somebody opens up the cabin door, and it looks like Ricky to me. Like, you know, could you tell? I mean, like, to me, it looked like Ricky standing there. Do you know what I'm talking about? When Judy, like, before Judy gets.
It did look like that.
Yeah, to me, it looks like Ricky. It's weird looking, but you go back and watch that. It's a weird looking shot, but it looks like Ricky standing there, like in some overalls or something.
And ultimately, it didn't really matter because she could have just let the cabin burn down because she had a curling iron clearly already burning through the sheet.
Yeah. But instead, this person goes over and punches Judy straight in the face. She just falls over, like faints from the punch. And then she gently goes over and covers her face with a pillow. And then, I don't know what she does with this curling. She picks up a curling iron and then kills her with it. But how? I mean, like she takes the curling iron, or the person takes the curling iron and like squeezes it so it opens up, and then slowly moves toward the pillow, and then you don't see what happens, but you know she's dead because her hand goes up like, ah! Yeah. And then like she just pulls the bed back, pushes the body back behind, so it falls back behind the bed, and then pushes the bed back. But what the hell did it mean? She stick it up her ass, down her throat, in her eye? I mean, what did she do?
Yeah, I don't know why they shied away from that scene. Although that scene did open it up to the possibility of that short film I was talking about, and why Judy was still alive in that.
Okay.
Short film, because they don't actually show what happened.
True. I'm like, I don't think you see anything more of her after that, right? Like she just kind of rolls over on the bed.
They shied away from it at that time, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know, you got all the other, you know, your typical slasher gore from the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not as brutal as some other slasher gore type movies, but yeah, that scene is just Yeah, I mean, I assumed it was, she was shoving it in her. Basically,
Yeah.
That's what the implication was, I think. But yeah, I don't know if they just didn't want to go that far or what.
Well, whatever happens, I mean, she's out of the picture here. So then you go to those campers that we saw out in the woods. The counselor comes back, and they've been chopped all to pieces with that axe. And that's when, like you said, his reaction. Oh my God. Please, no. 5 minutes of him doing that, and then he finally goes, help, and then runs away. Then it goes back to Mel finally grabs a hold of Ricky, and he just starts bitch slapping him. And he just starts beating the shit out of Ricky because, like, you've done this to me, you little bastard, and just beats the shit out of him, like knocks him cold. Then Mel runs away, and he runs into like the into the little archery area, and then somebody picks up an arrow and then throws it through his throat. They didn't shoot this man; they just huck it right through his throat. So Mel's dead.
Girls are pretty quick
and very strong. So then finally a fucking policeman arrives to this situation, and he's looking around. All right, we gotta catch the killer. With the help of the counselors, he's gonna catch somebody. So they go look around. Then Angela shows up on the beachfront. And she's like, all right, fine, let's go skinny dipping, basically. And Paul's like, hell yeah, finally. So then it cuts back to the cop.
Clearly, every man in this movie is down to get it on. Under any means necessary.
That was the DTF section of that 1982-83 magazine that I talked about. So the cop that's there, he finds Ricky. Ricky's bloody from Mel slapping the shit out of him over there, and he kind of comes to and he's helping him out. Ronnie and Susie, the two good counselors, they find Angela on the beach holding Paul, like she's sitting Indian style holding Paul. And then now we have our flashback to the flashback that kind of explains things, or not kind of, it does, it explains things. That Aunt Martha has the boy, Peter, and just decides to make the boy a girl, Angela.
Wait, what was his name?
Peter.
Okay.
Peter.
All right.
Yeah.
Peter.
The boy's name is Peter, and for whatever reason, she decides to turn Peter into a girl, which is Angela, because she's nuts. She says, "Well, I already have a boy, so I need a girl."
You can hardly have a sentence about this ending scene without an innuendo. I mean,
No.
can't avoid.
No, you can't, but we could try, right?
Try.
No.
Not at all, because they sure as shit didn't. So this is
getting back to Peter's name. Peter's name was Angela. No,
she turned the boy Peter into Angela, the girl, and then it cuts back to Angela standing up with this the famous scene of her mouth open and kind of looking to the right, like making this noise. You look down, or they show down on the ground, Paul's head just rolls away. Like she's done decapitated this motherfucker. And then it cuts back to the counselor, Ronnie the counselor, says, "How can it be? My God, she's a boy!" And then the freeze frame of Angela actually before the freeze frame, it pulls back, and you straight up see the nude body, weird looking body of clearly it's like a full grown naked man with some kind of superimposed picture of her over his face. It looks half werewolfish in structure. It goes to a freeze frame of her face, and then it kind of fades to green, then you got the credits. So that's the big reveal of Sleepaway Camp, is Angela is a boy. Like I said, this movie, it almost...
Tuckaway Camp.
Yep,
No, Sleepaway Camp is tucked away in New York. What's wrong with you? This is definitely one of those movies, though, where it bears like at least one more viewing after you've seen it, so you can go back and kind of like, oh, okay, you see all the little things that are obvious to you now that you know, kind of thing. With that, Will, what were your thoughts on this gem from 1983?
Why? Oh man, it was an interesting flick. I mean, I guess mainly just the ending was interesting. Like that, everything else was very much, you know, like of the time, just general slasher. You know, nothing really jumps out at you until the end.
Yeah. Oh, it jumps out at you, alright. Like a snake.
Like a water snake.
Or a trouser.
Like a trouser snake.
Thank you. I haven't heard trouser snake today.
That could be the slogan for that. You know, come to Camp Tuckaway, but just watch out for the trouser snake.
Willie, you win episode 13 of the All-American Spookshow podcast.
Yay!
Your prize, you have to listen to the next episode.
Instead of saying yay, I should have went.
I don't know why, like, in this big reveal, like, you know, like, basically her reveal is, I have a pecker, you know, not that I've been killing everybody around camp for the last few days, nope. And I want everybody to see it. So, Will, where do you land with this one? Like on the
that sign needs to be a sound drop right now.
Where do you land on the old 1 to 5 stars on this mug?
What do you give it? 1 to 5 inches? Oh no.
Look, I wasn't measuring.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it about a good hard 2.5.
Is that necessary? Smoke, where you at?
Oh man, let's see. Well, for one thing's for sure in this movie, it's there's a lot of shorty shorts and cut off shirts and bare midriffs on display. But I mean, too bad it's all on men.
Yeah.
That was another thing we didn't mention in this movie. It's in the '80s. You know, I don't know why or how that came into being, but the cut off shirts for men and the short shorts up to your ass cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not flattering.
You know, the same shorts that girls wear now.
Yes.
But we were all there. All three of us were there for the '80s, obviously. So I'm sure we all wore that shit at one point or another.
I'm pretty sure I had a cut-off shirt. I think I had a cut-off Spud McKinley shirt, if I can recall.
Yeah.
I did not wear tube socks up to my knees though, with the short shorts on, and like that guy, one of the guys at the baseball game they were playing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was. One on the I think it was on the team of assholes, basically.
Yeah.
Throwing the water balloons and stuff. That guy. Tube
Was
socks
that the
up to
team
his
name,
knees,
by the way?
What's that?
Was that the team name?
Yeah.
Yeah. The assholes.
Yeah. No, it was eat shit and live.
Eat shit and live. Eat shit and die versus eat shit and live.
Yeah. So Will gave it 2.5 stars. Smoke, where you at?
I give it 3. I do like it. I like it. I mean, I liked it. Like I said, that first time I saw it, I was like, damn. And then of course, at that point, I had to show it to other friends.
Yeah.
See what their reaction was. Engage their reaction. So, but yeah, I give it a solid 3.
Myself, I think I'm going to go right in between both of you with a 2 3/4 stars. Yeah, this is one of those ones you have to watch multiple times, and like you said, you see this, you want to show it to other people just to see what their reaction is. Yeah. So that alone, I think we all recommend it.
Yep.
That's about all we can say about that movie. This is without a doubt going to be one of our shortest episodes we've ever done. Because we all have to go think about this, what we've witnessed and talked about this day.
This could be the last episode of the podcast.
Matter of fact, this is it. I quit. I'm sure it can only go uphill from here, but I won't be there for it. I quit.
It can only go up. I mean, it could go down, I guess.
Yeah, well, it will.
Regardless, somebody will get excited.
Yeah, right there on the beach.
The decapitated head of the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you were getting decapitated, were you already grinning?
He's very pleased.
Finally.
I'm guessing Angela pleased him to death and then just decided just to fucking rip his head right off.
Like a Black Widow or something.
Like a succubus.
Succulent? Oh.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. So with that is episode 13 of the All American Spook Show. Episode 14, we're gonna raise the bar a little bit here. We gotta get back to normalcy here. So we're going to watch The Conjuring from 2013. Since we just recently did Annabelle, we're gonna take another step backwards and go see and watch the original Conjuring and then kind of work our way through those movies over the next few months. So if you haven't watched it in a while, go plug it in. You know, from 2013, The Conjuring. The synopsis on IMDb is: paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse. Shenanigans are afoot after that. So, yeah, go check that out. And like we said, you know, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TeePublic, YouTube. We're all over the place. We have full episodes on YouTube, and our Green Inferno episode on YouTube is really singing for some reason. So keep on listening, whoever's helping us out. You guys got anything else to add?
Well, I know we didn't really talk about it a little bit in the beginning, but as far as what movies we saw this time, but I would definitely recommend, if you're into horror, seeing Midsommar.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it twice already. It's about a guy that did Hereditary, so it is also sort of a splitting type movie where some people are going to love it, some people are not going to love it, or are going to hate it. But I loved it, saw it twice. And also Crawl, the alligator in Florida hurricane movie.
Was that good?
That was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Sort of, you know, kind of harkens back to the drive-in type horror movies where you can just go popcorn type movie.
You're better about keeping up with the newest releases in theaters. Did you go see Child's Play?
Yeah, I saw Child's Play too, and I'm not the hugest fan of remakes just to have remakes type things. I mean, my favorite remakes, if I were to go back, are the ones from the '80s, like The Thing and The Blob and stuff like that. Are really the ones that I really enjoyed. And there are some modern remakes that I can get down with or whatever. But in general, I'm not the hugest fan of remakes, but I did enjoy Child's Play.
Well, there you go. There's some new recommendations from the professor. Will, you got anything to add before we close shop?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, guys. Well, that's all for episode 13. Be sure to catch us for the next episode, and make sure to watch The Conjuring to keep on track. So with that, for Will, for Smoke, I'm Josh. We'll see y'all later.
Oh, God. Somebody go get help. Go get help.
Help us.
Dear Lord.
Help us.
Get help.
We just had to watch that movie. Please. Please.
And thanks for everybody for hanging out with us for the last hour and a half or so.
Not even that. This is going to be the shortest episode, I can assure you. All right, guys. Later on.
When I look into your eyes, it comes as no surprise. You're slipping away.